Good morning, everyone. Let's continue with the point that is pharmacoepidemiology. In that second point, which we have not covered because it is a new concept to you, and also it requires some more elaboration than the thing which is given in the curriculum. That is only the factors affecting drug utilization. Okay. So let's see what are drug utilization studies. So introduction and the few definitions. Let's see first of all. So first definition is of pharmacoepidemiology. It is the study of use and effects or side effects of drugs in large number of people with the purpose of supporting the rational and cost effective use of drugs in population, thereby improving health outcomes. Okay, so we have already studied about the definition of it. So next definition is of drug utilization research or drug utilization study, and it is given by WHO. So it says that the marketing, distribution, prescription, and the use of drugs in a society with special emphasis on resulting medical, social, and economic consequences. Okay, so what exactly it concerns with is the marketing of the drugs, then distribution of the drugs, then prescribing these drugs, and how these drugs are being used, and what its effect or what it results into the medical, social, and economic impact of it. Okay, so all of these things, that is marketing, distribution, prescription, and use of drugs, what impact they have on the medical, social, and uh, economic things that we study under the drug utilization research. Okay, so some more history about the drug utilization research, how it came into existence. Okay, so it is initiated in northern Europe and in UK in mid 1960s. Okay, so Arthur Engel in Sweden and Peter Siderius in Holland described importance of comparing drug use between different countries and regions. Differences in sales of antibiotics in six European countries between 1966 and 1967. It inspired WHO to organize first meeting on drug consumption in Oslo in 1969. Continuation or not continuation, sorry for that, constitution of WHO European Drug Utilization Research Group is the result of this 1969 committee meeting, that is DURG. So development of a new unit of measurement, initially called the agreed daily dose, and later it was called defined daily dose, that is DDD, by researchers from Ireland, Norway, and Sweden. The first study used anti-diabetic drugs as an example. Among the first countries to adopt the DDD methodology was the former Czechoslovakia. First comprehensive national list of DDD was published in Norway in 1975. So why drug utilization research is necessary? The principal aim is to facilitate the rational use of drugs in population. Okay, so as we have seen in earlier or previous slide, that first of all it concerned with the antibiotic used. All of it started with the use of antibiotics. Okay, and drug utilization research, when it is conducted with appropriate techniques, it ensures that the rational use of drugs. Okay, so what is rational use of drugs? We have already studied it when we studied the chemotherapeutics. Okay, but again let's revise that thing. So rational use of medications is defined as patients receive medications appropriate to their clinical needs in doses that meet their own individual requirements for an adequate period of time and at the lowest cost to them and their community. Okay, so few things are important in this definition is that appropriate to their clinical needs. Okay, so whatever clinical needs a patient has, he or she should receive the medications as per those needs. Okay, not extra, not some extra medication, not some less medications he or she should receive. She should He or she should receive the optimum quantities or optimum number of medications required for the treatment or curing of the disease which they have. Okay, and also next thing is that only the number is not important, the doses in which they receive this, it is also important. Okay, and also the third thing that is important in this case, it is the adequate period of time. So three things, that first is number of medicines, it should be adequate. Then dose, again it should be the optimum dose or adequate dose. And the third thing is adequate time. Okay, so rational use of medication, it should ensure these three things, that number of medicines received by the patient, they should be adequate in number. Then also the doses in which these medications are to be given, it should be prescribed doses or doses required to cure or prevent the disease, and they should receive the medication for certain duration of time, so that it should be able to alleviate the disease condition which a patient has. Okay, so what are the objectives of this drug utilization research? Is that first is description of drug use pattern. That means how the drug is being used. Okay. Then second is early signals of irrational use of drugs. Okay. If any of the drugs is being used irrationally, that means, one example I will give, that in case of anti-tubercular agents, they are usually prescribed for the period of 6 months. Okay, total duration of treatment is 6 months. So if a person is taking the medication only for like 1 month, 2 month or 3 months, and not taking for the 6 months, then in such cases he is actually violating the third rule of the rational use of drugs, that is the adequate time period for which a drug to be given. Okay, so as per the anti-tubercular therapy, the adequate time period is 6 months, minimum 6 months, and the patient is taking the drugs for the only for 3 months. Then in this case, it satisfies the criteria of irrational use of drugs. Okay. Third objective is that interventions to improve drug use, that is follow up and assessing the impact. So what is the intervention? Intervention is the thing that uh, we in earlier lecture we have studied in case of the pharmacoepidemiology only. So there are two types of methodology, that is interventional and the observational. Okay, so intervention means it is like changing the course of. Okay, by intervening you try to change the thing which have occurred or which is going to occur. So if we get to know that the person is not uh, following the advice given by the physician, then in such case, as a pharmacist we should counsel such patient and try to improve the drug use. That means how they are using the drug. If they are using it correctly, then we should reinforce that behavior, and if they are using it wrongly, then we should tell them what is the correct method of the drug use. And once we tell them it, we should not forget about it. We should do the follow up, that whether they are doing the or whether they are using the drug as per the instructions given by us or not. And also we have to assess the impact of the that particular improvement in the drug use. Okay, when the drug use is not as per the expectation, then uh, the most probable impact on the health of the person is that the person won't get the therapeutic benefit of it, and most of the time it will end up in the producing the adverse drug reaction in the patient. So if the if you counsel the patient regarding the appropriate drug use, and if the patient is compliant to your instructions, then what impact is of it, that we have to see whether there is improvement in the therapeutic response given by the patient to the drugs or not, that we have to see. And if there is no change in the impact, or there is no change in the therapeutic response of the patient to the drug, in such cases we should go for another drug. Okay, so the fourth objective of the drug utilization research is the quality control of the drug use. Okay, so next is description of use pattern. So we are going to explain one by one the objectives. So description of use pattern. So this drug utilization research will increase our understanding of how drugs are being used by estimating the number of patients exposed to specified drugs within a given period of time. Then second is getting extent of use at certain moment or area. And third thing which will we get from this is the estimating to what extent drugs are properly used, overused or underused. Okay, so three things we will get out of this drug utilization research is that number of patients exposed to specified drugs. Second thing we will get is that extent to which the drug is being used at a certain moment or in a certain area. And the third thing which we will get is the extent to which the drugs are being properly used or overused or underused. The next is determining pattern or profile of drug use and the extent to which alternative drugs are being used to treat the particular conditions. So this also we will get from the drug utilization research, that at what extent the alternative drugs are being used uh, instead of the drug which is prescribed, that also we will get from this. The next is comparing the observed patterns of the drug use for the treatment of certain diseases with current guidelines. Okay, so how guidelines are given for the treatment of each and every disease, but how the drug is being used for that certain disease, that is nothing but the observed pattern of the drug use. Okay, and also we should be able to compare that how the drug is being used for that particular disease condition despite of the presence of the guidelines. The next is giving feedback of the drug utilization data to the prescriber. So only collection of data is not the aim of this utilization research, but whatever results we get out of this utilization research, they should also be provided to the prescriber, that is the physicians, so that they will follow these results, and with following these results on kind of guidelines, they can obtain maximum therapeutic benefits out of the drugs which are being prescribed by them. Okay. The next is assessing the potential magnitude of the problem. Okay. Next is early signals of the irrational use of drugs. So this is the second objective. So comparing drug utilization patterns and cost between different regions and the time period. Okay. So we with the help of the drug utilization, we are able to compare drug utilization patterns and cost of the drugs between different regions or the time period. Okay. So different regions means in case of the COVID treatment only. Okay. So how the patients from the Marathwada region are being treated, we can compare with the treatment, COVID treatment of the patients from the Marathwada region to the patients who are being treated in the Konkan region. Okay. So we can find out that how they are being treated. One example can be given of it in my case only, that in Konkan region they were giving HCQ to all of the patients who were admitted in the quarantine center. But in Marathwada region, the doctors were prescribing remdesivir for all of the patients. So it created some economic impact onto the healthcare system at that particular region, and also it was responsible for the shortage of the remdesivir for the certain period of time. Okay. So later it was found out that remdesivir, it doesn't have the profound effect on the corona cases. That's why its use was stopped. But many of the people, they bought the remdesivir injections at very high prices, and they didn't get that much benefit out of it. Okay. So next is comparing observed patterns of the drug use with current recommendation or guidelines for the treatment of certain disease. Okay. So recommendation or guidelines are usually given by the ICMR in such cases, but not always the prescribers stick with the guidelines, and they try to deviate, or they deviate from the guidelines when they are prescribing the drugs. Okay. So what guideline says and what is the current status of the drug use, that we have to compare. Okay. The next objective is the interventions to improve drug use follow up and as well as assessing. So monitoring and evaluating the effects of measures taken to improve undesirable patterns of drug use. Okay. So once we identify that drug is being used irrationally, then we should give out, or we should suggest some measures to regularize the rational use of the drugs. So once we suggest some measures and that are being followed by the prescribers, we have to monitor and also evaluate the effects which are produced by these measures. Okay. So continuous monitoring is essential, because whatever measures we have suggested, if they are not able to obtain the results which we want, then there is no use of such measures. We have to modify the measures in those cases, and we have to also evaluate the impact of these measures which are provided. Okay. So following the impact of regulatory changes or changes in the insurance and reimbursement schemes. So also it doesn't only related to the drugs which are given or drug use pattern. We also should take into account the whatever law which regulates this all drug use. What are the changes in the law, they are affecting the current drug use, and also the changes in the insurance and the reimbursement scheme, what effect they have on the drug use, that also we have to see. So I will give one example of this, of regulatory changes. Okay, so uh, recently, 1 year back, government it banned the fixed dose combinations. Okay, so fixed dose combination, 280 of them were banned by the government. So what impact it had on the drug use, that to be the contentious issue over here. Okay, also one thing about the regulatory change, that is, 4 5 years back, government banned use of pioglitazone in India, depending on one adverse drug reaction report by a doctor from Chennai, that this pioglitazone causes pancreatic cancer. Okay, so government banned the pioglitazone. So pioglitazone is one of the most commonly used anti-diabetic drug, along with the glimepiride and the metformin. So in such cases, what was the impact of this ban onto the drug use? It is to be studied. Okay, so what happened in that case? The instead of pioglitazone, companies started adding voglibose in the combination, that is glimepiride plus metformin plus voglibose instead of the pioglitazone. So also, it was the voglibose, a standalone drug, was available in the market at that particular time, and later the pioglitazone ban was revoked, and again it made its comeback into the pharmaceutical market. Okay, so third thing that we get from the interventions is that to which extent promotional activities of the pharmaceutical industry and educational activities of the society impact on the patterns of the drug use. So we should break this sentence in two parts, that is educational activities of the society and the promotional activities of the pharmaceutical industry. So it is a open secret that the medical representatives, they who represent the pharmaceutical industry, they give gifts to the doctors, and also they offer certain foreign tools to the doctors, and on in return to that, doctors write out the prescriptions of their brands. Okay, so promotional activities, they actually help in increasing the sales of certain brands of the drug, but not always all the brands of the drugs they are equally efficient. Okay, sometimes some substandard drugs, they are being pushed into the market by doing a heavy promotional activity. So in that case also, what is the drug use pattern or drug prescribing pattern, it changes when heavy promotional activities go on. Okay, and second thing is of the educational activities of the society impact on the pattern of the drug use. If you remember in one of the program, that is by Satyameva Jayate, Amir Khan have brought one topic about the generic drugs. Okay, so after that, the entire generic market, as we are the one of the largest industry, generic industry, the many generic medical stores opened up. Okay, so now still it is in nascent stage, not all of the people they prefer a generic medical medicines, thinking that generic medicines are inferior in quality to the branded medicine, which is a absolutely wrong perception about the generic medicals medicines. But now the pattern is changing, that many of the people, the educated people, they are now shifting to the generic medicines. Okay, and they are getting very good results of the generic medicine, so the pattern of the drug use, it is also changing. So if you educate the society, then certain changes are going to happen. Okay, so we should not stick to the uh, road which is uh, followed by everyone else. We have to educate the society so that it will impact the pattern of drug use. Then next is quality control of the drug. So drug use should be controlled according to a quality control cycle that offers a systematic framework for the continuous quality improvement. So it is a cycle. So it is drawn over here. It consists of step one, that is planning. So it analyzes the current situation to establish plan for the improvement. Okay, step 2 says that do. So once we have chalked out a plan in step 1, we have to implement the plan on small scale. Okay, so like pilot scale. So in step 3, we have to check whether the plan have worked or not, that we have to check. Okay, and when we can say that plan have worked, when we will get the results which we want. Okay, and if we get the results which we want, then we have to go for step 4, that is act. So we have to revise the plan if there are certain changes required. Otherwise, we have to implement the plan which we have formulated in the step 1, and we have to implement it on very large scale. Okay, so types of drug use information. That is, first one is the drug based information, second one is problem or encounter based information, third one is patient based information, fourth one is prescriber based information, and fifth one is cost based information. Okay, so what is drug use or drug based information? Data on drug use on various levels and information on indications, doses, and dosage regimen is usually necessary. So level of drug use aggregation, the level at which data on drug use are aggregated will depend on question which is being asked. So in case of example of hypertension. Okay, the next indication of it, that is for drugs with multiple indications, it will usually be important to divide data on use according to indication to allow correct interpretation of overall trends. Okay, so sometimes it happens in case of antibiotics that it can be used for the treatment of variety of bacterial conditions. So we have to divide the data depending on each condition, okay, for which that particular antibiotic which is being used, and depending on the data which we have collected or which we have segregated, we have to decide the how we have to decide upon the pattern of drug use. Okay, so next is problem based information. So it is useful to address the question, that is how a particular problem is managed. Okay, so here we have the problem and we have to find out the solution to it. So questions that may be addressed in this case is that first one is the, does severity of the disease influence the choice of single or combination therapy? Second question is the management of newly presenting patients different to that of patients already receiving the treatment? Third, are there likely to be any drug interactions with the co-prescribed treatments? And fourth is the choice of drug influenced by evidence-based outcome data. Okay, so these four questions, it might be addressed when we go for the problem-based information. Okay, so next is patient-based information. So information on demographic factors and other details about the patient are useful. demographic factor, that is age, gender. Okay, so these are all the demographic information of the patient. So age distribution to assess the likelihood of severe adverse effect with certain drugs. Then comorbidities of the patient. Comorbidities means if a patient has other type of sickness apart from the one for which he or she is taking the drug, that is the comorbidities. The knowledge, beliefs and perception of patient and their attitudes to drugs are important. Okay. So next, prescriber based information. So this information is useful to understand how and why drugs are being prescribed. So what are the reasons for a certain drugs to be prescribed? That all information you will find in prescriber based information. So some questions that might be addressed in this case is that first one is, are prescribing profiles influenced by the prescriber's medical education? So you may find this is very relevant, that depending on the medication educational background of the medical professional, the number of drugs or the type of drugs they also change. Okay, so if the education is very higher or a specialist type of uh, doctor to which a patient visits to, then the uh, it also is related to the cost of the drugs. Okay, so if you go to a super specialist doctor, then the amount or the economics of that particular prescription they increase. Okay, so the cost you pay for the purchasing the medicine, it increases when you go to a super specialist doctor. And in case of the simple like a general physician, the cost of medication is less. And also the uh, type of medication that are included in the prescription, that are also the normal medications. Okay, so second question that might be addressed in this is that, do prescribing profiles of the specialists differ from those of the general practitioners? So that's what I said in this only, that specialists usually have a different prescription guidelines or profiles as that of the general practitioners. Okay, so third question that might be addressed is that, does age or gender of prescriber influence the prescribing profile? So more experienced the prescriber, the type of medication that are being prescribed they also change. Okay, so age and gender, not gender has not much of a effect on this, but age plays very important role while prescribing the medications. Okay, the next, are there any differences in prescribing behavior between urban and rural practices, or between small and large practices? So certain differences are still present. In a rural area, whatever happens, they usually go for the parenteral preparations, like they give injections to the patients. Okay, it is totally based on the mentality of the patient, that they usually feel good when they receive injection. If doctor gives certain medication, 2 3 tablets, then the mentality of the patient says that, as he has not given any kind of injection, he is not a good doctor. Okay, so urban and rural practices of the medical practitioners, they are also different. Okay, the next is, who are those prescribers who rapidly adopt to recently released drugs? So uh, some are slow adapters and some are fast adapters. Okay, so they some old generation physician, they stick to the uh, proved drugs which are there in the market for years. Okay, and some of the new physicians, they are trying newer things and they are quite updated about the medications which are being used, so they go for the newer type of medications. Okay, the next is, can the factors that determine and change prescribing behavior be identified? So certain factors, they affect the prescribing behavior. So whether these factors can be identified, that is the problem, or that is the question. So cost based informations, so it will always be important in managing policy related to drug supply, pricing and use. Okay, uh, so one second. Example is given of use of antipsychotic drugs in, one second, antipsychotic drug use in Australia. So you can see the graph over here, that is DDS per thousand per day, and the drug is clozapine. So you can see the government cost with clozapine, as we move forward from 1990 to 1998, the cost is increasing. But what about community use? You can see from the graph, it is almost at the equal level. It is not increasing as compared to that of the cost. It is at the stable level, at the level of 4. Okay, so next thing is the DUS cycle. Okay, so in DUS cycle we have the steps, that is, first is planning, second is data collection, third is evaluation, fourth is feedback, now fifth is intervention, the next is re-evaluation, and then feedback of results. So first of all, we have to plan, we have to identify the problem, for which we are carrying out the drug utilization studies, and we have to formulate a plan. Okay, so once we formulate a plan, we have to collect the data from various data sources which are mentioned in previous slides. Okay, once we collect all the data from all of the sources possible, we have to evaluate the data. Okay, we have to carry out the evaluation of each of the data, each of the data database, and we have to uh, see that how it contributes to the plan. Okay, so once we evaluate all of the data, we have to implement the plan, and we have to implement the plan at in very small population. Once we implement the plan in small population, we have to see for the monitor and evaluate the results which we get from that drug utilization study which is carried out in small population, and we have to take feedback of the results which we have got from the certain population. Okay, so once we have the feedback of the results, we have to uh, take decision on the certain interventions. Okay, because the results, if which we won't obtain from this, we have to do some interventions, we have to change certain things from the plan which we have implemented in the small population, and we have to change or revise the plan accordingly. So once we revise the plan accordingly, we have to again implement in the population. Then once we implement in smaller population, we have to re-evaluate whatever results which we have obtained from that implementation of the plan. Once we re-evaluate, again we have to give the feedback of the results which are obtained from it. Once we give, or once we obtain feedback of the results which are obtained from the second time implementation of the plan, we will get a foolproof plan that can give us the results which we want. Okay, so it will actually this thing in first half of this thing we are testing our plan. In this first point, we are we are making or we are formulating the plan, then we are testing this plan in first half of this cycle. Okay, once we test the plan in first half of this cycle, we get to know that our plan has certain shortcomings. So we revise the plan, and again we implement the plan and we take the feedback of the results. And once we take feedback of the results, whatever plan we have implemented or whatever plan we have formulated, it becomes foolproof and it can be subjected to the large population. Okay, so the steps involved in conducting a drug utilization study, there are 11 steps. That is, first step is the identify drugs or therapeutic areas of practice for inclusion in the program. So we have to identify the drugs. So only problem areas we have to identify, for which we have to carry out the drug utilization study. Second step is that we have to design the study. So once we have identified the drug, we have to design a plan for conducting the drug utilization study. Third is we have to define the criteria and the standards. That why we need to define the criteria and standards, because we should have certain reference standard with which we can compare our results. So we have to first of all define the criteria, we have to define the standards, so that we will have something to which we can compare our results to. Then step 4 is the design data collection form. Okay, so data which is going to be generated from the study, we have to collect the data, and we have to collect the data in certain format. So that format we have to design in step 4. In step 5, we have to collect the data. Okay, so once we collect the data, we have to evaluate the results which we obtain from it. Okay, so after evaluation, step 7 says that provide feedback of the results. So after evaluation of the results, we have to provide these results to the prescribers, and we have to take the feedback of the results from them. Okay, so this feedback of the results, they will help in formulation of step 8, that is development and implementation of the intervention. That is, the revision of the plan is to be done in step 8. Okay, so it based on the feedback of the results. Okay, step 9, we have to re-evaluate the results to determine if the drug use has improved. Okay, so in step 10, we have to reassess and revise the DUS program if necessary. Okay, the ultimate aim of this drug utilization study is that drug use should improve, the rationality of drug use should be there. Okay, so if we found out that the program is working fine, then we have to move to the step 11, that is feedback results. So whatever results we obtain from this DUS study, we have to provide the feedback to it. Okay, so the factors that may affect the drug expenditure and the utilization are: the first one is the population related factor, which include changes in total population. Second is changes in population demographics such as age, gender, and ethnicity. Then changes in health status of a population, that is emergence of a new disease, epidemics or pandemics, or and so on. Okay, so second factor is system related factor, which include changes and transition associated with health system reform and restructuring, moving towards shorter hospital stays and home or community care, shift of drug provision from hospital to community. Then second is changes in policies and programs, the extent of formulary listings, eligibility and co-payments, availability of third party, that is insurance coverage. Okay, next factor is research and technology related, that is clinical and informational. It includes new treatment approaches, that is drug replacing surgery, availability of more and or improved diagnostic technology, evidence based preventive or curative approaches in diagnosis or treatment. And second is use of programs and technology in monitoring the patients. Okay. Next factor is pharmaceutical industry, and it includes development of new drug products, that is new strains, new drug dosage forms, and the presentations. Then promotion of drugs to physicians, promotional activities carried out the medical representatives, drug sampling, direct to consumer advertising. The next factor is practice and people related, so healthcare providers and the consumers, and it includes changes in prescribing and dispensing practices, number of and mix of prescribers, that is specialists, general physicians, nurse practitioners and others. This is not applicable in case of India. Then multiple doctoring, that is multi-pathy doctoring also included, then consumers expectations and the behavior and wastage. Okay, so with this we have finished the drug utilization studies and factors affecting drug utilization studies. Okay, thank you.